There we go. Now we got audio. That's what I'm talking about. Making sure the camera's there. We got audio. Everything is good. Okay, thank you. Sorry. Hi, Usman. Yeah, I'm sorry. I missed the time. We're still good. But I missed. I just thought it was like not even. I was having lunch. I thought we were fine. Okay. So first of all, let's go ahead and just create a couple of charts here. Let's move this over here and let's just shift this over in. Is it this one? That'll do fine. Okay, and also what I want to do here is just have a look at what's going on. Should be able to see this. Let's have a look and see what's going on over here as well. Okay, so essentially we have been seeing a lot of, well, euro dollar weakening and cable weakening. Okay, so we can see here, but especially today, massive heavy sell-off. This could be due to the war. That is the one that to me makes the most sense. The dollar itself has been climbing a lot, but even looking here, for example, at Aussie dollar, Kiwi dollar, that's been climbing. This is interesting because this hasn't happened in ages. Where both Kiwi and Aussie dollar have been actually really bullish. Dollar yen is not necessarily adding any clarity to the situation. Just looking here at the daily. Overall, I am interested to see, kind of looking at it on the weekly, it is looking more bullish than bearish. And quite a few yen crosses have had that kind of setup. They've been really nice and bullish on the weekly. Let's just see if there's any of the others that have been looking particularly good. Swiss yen obviously is looking quite nice and bullish over there. So the only reason I mention this is because it's unusual to have, even Swissy has not really been dropping or doing anything. And so it's unusual to see the euro moving in such a singular fashion, but not anything else really. So euro and GBP are basically just weakening for whatever reason, and everything else seems to be doing its own thing. So let's look at dollar CAD. Dollar CAD we can see is climbing a little bit this week. It's been more bullish than bearish, but not really going anywhere. Certainly not to the degree that euro seems to have just fallen off a cliff. Okay, so that's looking, I think for next week, that's really interesting. Because for next week, that provides a lot of shorting opportunities when it comes back to test those key levels. The trends that have been insane, unbelievable, and I haven't actually necessarily traded them all, are Euro Aussie. This is unbelievable. Just straight off a cliff. Look at that. Even so, whether you traded the 4 hour, I would have said the 1 hour was the best to have traded, but also 15 minutes. These were ridiculous, and some of these were nice little flat level breakouts. There's a tiny little consolidation breakout, kind of flat level breakout, pullbacks. I mean, this flat level breakout, and by the way, I have not seen, I mean, look, I wouldn't have got this one. That's at 3 o'clock in the morning. But anyway, and so then, not just that, Euro Kiwi's also been relatively bearish by comparison. Just falling right off a cliff, so that looks like a weaker Euro in comparison to stronger Aussie and Kiwi. Then we have Pound Aussie has been doing incredibly good as well. Flat level breakouts, so that's also this morning. But here was a pullback at 7 a.m. and there was another pullback here at 10 a.m. Pound Kiwi also really nice and bearish. These were just ridiculous. Aussie pairs, so like Aussie CAD, even now looking quite bullish. A little bit overextended, so it's probably starting to diverge a little, and it's at a major level. But man, just ridiculous moves. Kiwi CAD. So there have been an unusually large number of trends this week. I'm up, not a lot, like I was up 2%. I'm now at like 1.5% for the week, but I should have been up about 5 or 6%. It's in or more. They really were such great trades this week, and I just I missed quite a few of them. So anyway, and there's just a couple of these that just really straightforward trades in hindsight. But yeah, so I want to keep an eye on how the markets react at the moment. I'm going to be focusing, let's have a look at gold quickly. So gold has been, this was a trade idea that was just strangely on the 4 hour, let's just have a look at that, was really just, you know, overall price trending up, price pulls back, there's some bearish candles here, breaks to the upside. So I did a consolidation breakout and then just targeted just below this level. And you can see it's just pushing up, but it's also struggling where it is here. So one of the things I've noticed with gold in the last, since 2019, since it broke out, is the general messiness where it it should be flowing up and down a lot smoother than it does, but it's moving up and hits a brick wall, then moves up, hits a brick wall, and it's just crazy the number of resistance levels that it's encountering. But anyway, so that trade is still in play for that. I took profit on mine because of NFP. So basically, as we came up here, I just moved my take profit down to here, and I got that, I don't know, an hour ago, the last hour. Let's have a look at silver. So silver's just consolidating. I'll stay away from that. And let's have a look at oil. So we've got Brent and light crude looking more bullish than bearish. It's quite interesting because it's a little bit overextended. It's sitting at its limit. But all of this looks more bullish than bearish, as though it is essentially wants to carry on, take another run at 115. That's what it looks like it wants to do. This morning, I was looking at a potential breakout because we were, at the time, producing lower highs and lower lows. That was this morning at that time. So that looks like that's not going to happen. But a break, if we get lower highs coming in, there could be a break, and that could be next week. So I just took a short down to the highs, to these old highs here. So very quick short if that happens. Brent crude as well. This stuff all currently looks, especially look at the last 4-hour candle, looks like it wants to head a little bit higher. Okay, let's look at the S&Ps, then we'll go to the charts and we'll watch it as it unfolds. We'll see it in real time. It's actually better to start with non-US indices. So let's go ahead and have a look at the DAX. The DAX today, and this is, by the way, is a 15-minute, 1 hour, so this is kind of day trading layout. It's been heading lower. So this week it has predominantly trended lower. And there's no reason just yet why that's going to stop. But what you can see is now it's starting to put on the brakes, potentially wants to hit a little bit higher. Let's have a look at the French CAC as well. So French CAC also putting on the brakes after having broken through major support. And the Ftse will be similar. Mine is delayed here, but that also looking really bearish and is certainly broken through here. And then we have, so let's just see what that looks like. Let's go get the Ftse, bring that in. There we go. So that's broken. Let's go to the daily. You can see how that's broken through that level. And now, and then we can look at, say, the ASICs in Australia. Okay, so that's kind of not looking super strong just yet. And the Nikkei out of Asia, which is still pushing down towards the lows. So non-US markets, which have been looking quite bullish up until the war broke out, are now looking very weak. So let's have a look at the US markets, and let's go up the chain. So we start with Russell 2000, which is consolidating this week. So it's basically done, the last week just stayed within a range, but I would say that it's starting to test those lows. The NASDAQ, which is now produced a lower high on the daily, started to break to the downside. So that's looking not super strong. The S&P, which, so I posted this on LinkedIn. It closed nice and bullishly and attempted to break out and failed. So that was a failed breakout, but that price action isolation looks really good. So it has now failed to break out above those highs and is back in this area. This blue box is still technically a buy zone. So if we go kind of up to the weekly, this area is still a good area for it to turn around, especially on the monthly. It's a good area for it to turn around. The moving averages are there, so you can't see them, but that's where it could potentially turn. So anyway, within that blue box, until it breaks below that, until it's inside that box, it still has the potential to turn around. And I would say once it breaks above the highs of that, then I think we're starting to return to the top. Okay, so I just thought that it was nice and bullish here if we succeeded in the breakup, but we didn't. And then the Dow. So this is really where we're stuck at the moment. And you could arguably put this in a little bit of a zone just to see what happens with it. Just kind of mark it as a range and just say, look, as long as you're within that range, we can buy above it or sell below it. I'm just going to take off the border. I thought I had a border. Oh, there we go. Border option. There we go. It's just a nice little zone, and we'll see how that holds out. Okay, so what we're looking to see is the jobs have generally been good. There's no doubt. Claims, jobless claims out of the US are dropping. in so many respects, that is not really the issue on the table today. I don't think so. I think the issue is probably more focused on the wall than anything else. Having said that, it also seems as though the markets, some of the companies are posting record profits and then the market's dropping, not necessarily climbing on that. And so today, even if we get good numbers, the market could still drop. That's really what I want to see. And that we could see a sign for a stronger dollar. All of that is not based off any numbers I've seen. That's just conceptually what I think the market is potentially looking for. So having said that, let's go to the favorites. So let's, I don't really like this one, so let's close this. I've just got a couple here and I want to decide if I want to keep them or not. That's fine, let's close that. Let's close this. Okay, so now we've got these three. Let's just sort those out. Let's add a fourth one. So we've got euro dollar. Let's just change that template. Okay, and let's just tile them. So we can see how the market reacts to it. So we've got the NASDAQ 100. So we're going to go down to the 15 minutes. Is probably going to give us more sensible reactions that what we're looking at. We'll go look at the UK one on the 15 minutes as well to see how that reacts. We will have a look at, in terms of the levels over here, gold. Let's have a look and see how gold reacts. Might also look at that on a 4 hour is fine, because we'll see if the reaction's big or not. And most importantly, let's have a look and see what happens on the euro dollar. The euro dollar is very overextended, but that doesn't mean anything. Okay, sorry, I'm thinking about your question, Usman. Yeah, based off the flow, the general flow of that weekly chart, dollar yen looks more bullish than bearish. So it does look like it wants to break through those levels, yes. Excuse me, but it's not tied. We can see this. It just doesn't care what everyone else is up to. So even if the dollar strengthens, they seem to be able to match that. So although you might get a short-term reaction, it doesn't seem to change the trend. And I think that's very much coming from the central bank, the Bank of Japan. Right. I can put that on, I suppose. We could have a look at that. But I think NASDAQ, Ftse... Actually, I'm going to change up the NASDAQ for the 500. Okay, so NASDAQ and 500. We've got 1 minute. Let's have a look here. 1 minute on those. And we'll chuck in a dollar yen as well. I suppose we could do that. But I'll tell you what, I'll replace the Ftse for dollar yen. Just have a look at that. There we go. And we'll see what happens. But yeah, if we look at the general, look at the flow of the moving averages, it is heading higher. There's clearly resistance there, and it could start to collapse. But the flow of all the 50, 20, and 10 on the weekly, just slowly pushing higher. So that's actually obviously stronger dollar, weaker yen, and I think they're okay with that. Let's have a look at how it reacts if we get that breakout of that major level, which is up here at 115 would be a big one. We can actually leave it on the 4 hour and see what happens. So the move for an NFP can be anywhere from 60 pips, 50, 60 pips to 200 pips generally. And the average is about 100, 150 pips. Let's have a look and see. So wait for it, because it isn't, there's no initial shock. From this, we can assume no big shock necessarily, because there's no knee-jerk reaction, but there are still some numbers. Okay, so while you're looking at that, and I include Aussie Kiwi. Okay, we'll come back to Aussie Kiwi in a moment. So gold haven't gone nowhere really. Dollar cash, that looking like that. We'll have to see what happens with this. And then while you're looking at that, let me go and see if I can find what the numbers are. I'm always curious about those. See, now the euro dollar is not going anywhere just yet, and actually we'll still see swings this afternoon. So I always find that whatever happens around this period is one thing, and then what happens, because it's 1:30 p.m. UK time, and then what happens at 2 and 3 p.m. So about 3 p.m. is where you get a sense of if the market's really going to move. If by 3 p.m. the market hasn't really started going anywhere, then it's probably done for the day. But there are days when the market just starts moving, and it moves, you know, from about 3 o'clock you can see which way it's going, and then it just starts going and going and going until about 5 or 6 p.m. And then it kind of wraps up for the weekend. So usually I would think that if the market has been moving a lot Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday morning, then it probably will not necessarily keep going. It's like it's done, it's expended so much energy that there isn't, that it's tired. And so that's what I'm curious about, because that euro dollar has been moving. I'm curious to see if it's going to keep going for the rest of the day, or if it's kind of going to wrap up where it is and then pick up again on Monday. So the numbers are, there we go. So the, okay, so the actual numbers compared, let's look at the previous. The non-farm is better, okay, so the non-farm employment change is big. Those are huge, by the way, those are huge numbers. Unemployment rate is better because it's lower than expected. Sorry, lower than the last one. And our earnings will keep where they are. Now let's look at what it is compared to forecast. So it's greater than forecast, which is good for the currency, so you should get a strong US dollar generally. And it's lower than forecast, so a bit disappointing, even though it's actually better than last month. So that's important. These, you know, jobless claims are dropping. The US's economy is in a far better state under Biden than it ever was under Trump. And I mean ever. And people dispute that because Fox News is always talking about how he's terrible for the country. He really isn't. When you look at all the numbers, the economy is in a far more, the stock market's higher, jobs are higher, jobless claims, unemployment is lower. There's no more, like, I mean, aside from this war, which is not America's fault, and that's not, and the oil crisis, which is also not Biden's fault. Everything is looking really good. So infrastructure, money, I mean, there's just, so the reason I'm saying this, the US economy should, regardless of whatever else goes on, the US economy for the next year or two is going to do really well because it's got so much money being injected into it, and people will be spending because their minimum wage is going up, their unemployment is going down, productivity is going back to normal post things. That inflation is tied to that, and inflation absolutely is a danger. So absolutely, I respect that inflation is a danger, but it's better than there being these recessions and you know, fear and panic about that. So we're just gonna have to see how that goes. Cool. So very good. Good on him. I'm not surprised. If you look kind of at these numbers. It's, you know, it's generally been getting better, and especially if you take out the forecast, you look at the actual numbers, they're doing fine. So each month there's jobs being added, and that's Trump. Okay, I've got the dogs wanting to get in now. All right, so let's have a look. These are pushing a little bit higher, okay, which is okay. Dollar yen pushing a little bit lower. That doesn't mean anything. By the end of today, hypothetically, it could happen that dollar yen finishes up at the top. You could get that. Gold definitely wants to keep going. What I was looking for was, will it break out this week or will it break out next week? Because it could get knocked back, come back down to 1920 and then go back up. So for me, I'm buying in these areas here. I'm buying at those areas. If it comes back down, if it breaks through, I'm buying at these areas. Okay, and that's all next week. What else? Euro dollar's not really going anywhere. So let's go down to that 5 minute to have a look at that. Okay, that's all. Let's go to the 1 minute even. That's all it's really done, consolidating. If you look at it on a 1 hour and a 4 hour, it's a really big move. It's also likely to be approaching a major level. Let's look at it on the daily and the weekly. There we go. It's at a level here. I'm going to mark that because I'll just say that there's something there as well. Random trivia. If you use MT4 and you hit your space bar, you can type in the symbol and your period. So if I hit 15 and hit enter, it changes to the 15-minute time frame. Most people don't know that, and I've never really seen it pushed anywhere, but there you have it. And yeah. So, okay. So really, that's not bad. Numbers are okay. Our big problem right now is World War III. And I'm not trying to make light of it. That's a real issue. But COVID is now not really as much of a problem right now by comparison. And again, I would just watch this. I think really today the market could. There's very little reason to trade for the rest of the day unless you're going to be trading like the 5-minute time frame, because right now it's going to chew the numbers, and then 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, it'll pick a trend and then it'll move for an hour or two. So you really only want to take a trade for like half an hour if you can, and the risk is a little bit higher. Otherwise, it's Monday. So that was really what I wanted to do in this session, was see how the market reacted. Oh, there we go. Look at that. Okay, so euro dollar pushing down through that level. So let's go up to the 1440, which is the daily. Have a look at that. Have a look at that weekly. Coming into this area, there's another level down here. Okay, so, and then we'll go back to that 1 hour, 15 minutes. It's a big move. And there's your kind of continuation. That's got to be because of the war, I presume. I mean, honestly, that's just moving like the euro is just. It feels as though the euro is just falling off a cliff. Let's go have a look at it very quickly before we wrap up on the euro pairs here. So I'm just going to move through those euro pairs to see if there's generally move lower. That's going lower. Euro GBP. You want an Aussie Kiwi? Look at that. Look at euro yen. I might take some trades on euro pairs later today, but I don't like it. They've already moved a lot. They're very overextended. If I did, it's going to be a very quick trade and very cautious. But look at that. Euro Swissy, Euro CAD. It has to be the war. It has to be. Euro Aussie. Look at this. It's insane. Euro Kiwi. Okay. Let's have a look at some of the GBP pairs. GBP lower. GBP Swissy lower. GBP CAD, no. So you can see it's not the same as Euro pairs. Pound Aussie, yeah, but that's the Aussie dollar strength Kiwi. Okay, so if Aussie and Kiwi have both been strong, what would Aussie Kiwi have been doing? Likely, probably not much, but let's have a look. Okay, so for the last, it's been moving up a little bit and now broken down. That was actually a trade I missed. Look at that. Breakthrough level of support, retest, and head lower. Missed it, but this implies it's going to come down to these old highs, so 1.074. And it's largely range bound. Let's mark that range. Let's mark it. We'll just do that. It's actually a little bit more like that. Okay. The one I want to have a look at is Euro Swissy. So let's have a look at that one. Swissy yen. Okay, that's headed down. Okay. Cool. All right, guys, I think that's it. There's really not much more to add to this. I just want to check if there's any other comments. Hi, Chris. Euro hasn't moved like this for a long time. Must be the war. I agree. It really hasn't moved for a very long time. And I think you're right. I think it's a fair assessment to say what is going on in Europe now that could cause this. The dollar, not everything is. It's not the dollar really driving it. It seems to be the euro. So I think it's the war. Do I think the euro pairs? I'm going to Cape Town next week for holiday. Do I think the euro pairs will continue to fall in the upcoming weeks? I think there will be corrections, but they might not be a daily correction. They might just be 4-hourly corrections. If this weakness is the beginning of something, we have to see. And it might also be, as long as the kind of seems like the Russians are not giving up and keep chipping away, that could be the case. That could contribute to it. So I would, for me, my approach is going to be looking to sell on those. But yeah, I think there'll be periods where it has to do a correction. The question is, look, that daily is overextended. We do need at least, what we need at the very least is a daily like pullback into this area over here. So I'm not sure what would trigger that, but yeah, we would need that. Excuse me, we'd need that. Okay, guys and girls, I'm going to wrap up there. Hopefully you're all right with that. It was just meant to be a quick one today to have a look at it, and then we can, I'll try and do a market analysis next week, Monday or Tuesday, to pick up to see where this is going. Yep, so otherwise I wish you happy trading and have a good weekend. I hope you get some decent weather. I feel like we might be getting a bit of spring in the UK soon, but we are still technically in winter. And then, yeah, I look forward to seeing you. I'll do my weekly analysis video as well. And yeah, feel free to comment on the YouTube channel if you have questions or anything you want me to look at and include. Just do that one. All right, you too. All right, ladies and gents, thank you very much.